Richard Vance had everything: a sprawling mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, and a multi-million-dollar business empire. Yet, beneath his wealth and charm hid a man obsessed with control, especially when it came to trust. After years of betrayal from partners and a bitter divorce, Richard trusted no one. That included his humble maid, Elena. Elena had been working at the Vance estate for 6 months. She was quiet, punctual, and always respectful. Every morning, she arrived precisely at 7 a.m., and every evening, she left without a word more than necessary. Richard paid her well, and watched her closely. Something about Elena unsettled him. She never asked for advances, never complained, and never seemed interested in the lavish life around her. Unlike other employees who were dazzled by his riches, she always kept her eyes down and her heart guarded. So, Richard decided to test her. One Thursday morning, he left his massive wall safe open in his private office. Inside, stacks of cash, glittering jewelry, and priceless documents sat unguarded. He turned off the security cameras in that room, but installed a hidden recording device tucked inside a picture frame. Then he waited. Elena arrived as usual. She began her cleaning routine, dusting the staircase, wiping windows, and organizing books. When she reached the office, Richard's heart pounded from the monitor in the next room. She paused at the doorway. Richard watched her walk in slowly. Her eyes fell on the open safe. She tilted her head in confusion, then glanced around, as if wondering whether it was a mistake. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for the cleaning rag. She dusted the desk. Then, she approached the safe. Richard leaned forward, holding his breath. Any second now, he thought. Any second and he'd catch her red-handed. Instead, she took a step back from the safe and sat down in the leather chair in front of it. Her eyes filled with tears. She looked around the room, then whispered softly, "God, please give me strength. I'm tired." Richard was stunned. What was she doing? She reached into her bag, and pulled out a faded photograph. It was of a young boy, maybe 7 years old, in a hospital gown. She wiped her tears and spoke to the picture, "Matteo, Mama's trying. I know you need the surgery. I just need to keep this job." She stood up, closed the safe gently, and wrote a small note on a post-it. "Greater than, sir, your safe was open. I didn't touch anything. Please be careful. Elena." Richard stared at the monitor, speechless. Guilt churned in his stomach. He called her in. When Elena entered, her eyes were cautious. "Sir." Richard handed her the note. "Why didn't you take anything?" She blinked in surprise. "Because it's not mine. You could've. No one would have known." "I would have known," she replied, her voice firm. "And my son, he needs a mother who's honest, not a thief." Richard swallowed hard. "You have a son?" Elena nodded, biting her lip. "He has a heart condition. We've been saving for years for his operation." Without a word, Richard opened a drawer, pulled out a checkbook, and scribbled a figure. He handed it to her. Her hands trembled. Her eyes widened. "Sir, I can't accept this. You passed the test," he said softly. "But I failed mine." Tears welled in both their eyes. That day, something in Richard changed. He rehired staff he'd previously fired in suspicion, started a trust fund for employees' families, and learned to lead with compassion instead of control. As for Elena, her son Matteo received his surgery weeks later, paid in full by Richard Vance. And every year after, Richard received a hand-drawn card from a healthy little boy that read, "Thank you for trusting my mama."